We hope you had a moment to get coffee or other drink of choice and are ready to begin with the discussions. The theme for the second panel is mega events and public transportation safety. Maybe I'll say it again. If guests can please return to our seats, we will now begin.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. All right, we have a great panel here. We're going to get the conversation going, and we look forward to introducing our panelists here in just a minute. My name is Carlos Braceras, and I'm the director of the Utah Department of Transportation. And you might say, Utah, pretty red state, you're out in the Midwest, you probably don't need transit. What am I doing here? Well, I'll try to set that up a little bit. Actually, as the conversation when Jannet was talking earlier, I was thinking about, I grew up in New Jersey, just outside of Manhattan, and we couldn't get our driver's license until we were 17. I don't know if that's changed since then. And I still remember in 1971, my dad took me down to the Port Authority and taught me how to read the subway map. And for a 13-year-old kid, that was pretty confusing. But that was basically my driver's license. And he gave me, that gave me the license to be able to go see, I was a Ranger fan, I was a Yankee fan, and to be able to basically have that accessibility to things that I really wouldn't have had available to me. Moved to Utah to ski for 1 year, 46 years ago, and here I am in a really, really fast-growing state, which is, believe it or not, the 7th most urbanized state in the country, where 65% of the land is owned by the federal government and another 10% by state and local governments. So we have a very small percentage of the land that's available for people, and we're growing very fast. We're not only very good at having children, but we also have a lot of people moving into Utah. So we're in the process of not only still building highway capacity, we believe strongly that we need to keep building highway capacity, but we're aggressively moving forward on expanding our transit system. We believe transit's a key part of our future for Utah. And so at the Department of Transportation, we don't yet operate transit. We will be here soon in the next year, but we do all the capital development. So we build this stuff. So we build the rail infrastructure, we purchase the rolling stock, and then we turn it over to the operators. And I've had the opportunity, back in 1998, we were preparing for the 2002 Winter Olympics, and I got to go to Japan and to learn from the Japanese on how they planned and operated for a very, very large event. And I felt incredibly successful, and we learned so much from our friends in Japan during that visit. And we went into the 2002 Olympics, and we set a specific goal that transportation wouldn't be noticed. And because we believe that when transportation isn't noticed, it's working. People don't really think about transportation unless you screw it up. And that's not usually a good association for us. We like to make sure that every journey is perfect. And so we're now on the venue of preparing for the 2034 games. That seems like it's a long way out, but there's a lot of work to do. And from our perspective, we're not doing any permanent infrastructure just because of a mega event. We want to make sure that our long-range plan, that we look at all those projects and we say, what projects should we accelerate, get in place for that 2034 games? And so really, we're here to have a conversation about, how do you prepare for and operate a specifically rail transit, for mega events, while at the same time maintaining that function that every one of your citizens relies on, because it just has to work, right? People have to be able to go where they want, when they want, how they want, and to do so safely. And so I'm going to just introduce our panelists, and they're all going to have an opportunity to share their stories, and then we'll get to some questions and answer, and look forward to that. To my left, Noriyoshi Yamagami, Managing Executive Officer of the Tokyo Metro. Following that is Kiyoshi Yukishi? Oh, thank you. Executive Officer, Osaka Metro. Jannet Walker-Ford, she's doing dual roles. She's the Secretary-Treasurer for APTA, and I had that opportunity to do that for quite a while for our ASHTO Association. So it's a lot. I know the work it takes, but she's also got a real job, or a full-time job, working with WSP. And then we're a little out of order here, but Ryan is the next from where all my family lives, Massachusetts Bay Area Transit. So, and he actually lives close to where my mother lives still, so that's pretty cool. And then Conan Cheung from LA Metro. And so with that, let's start off and begin your presentation. Sure. And
yes, thank you very much. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Noriyoshi Yamagami from Tokyo Metro. I'll talk about how Tokyo Metro has enhanced safety and accessibility through the preparations for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Yes. We carry nearly 7 million passengers every day. We put highest priority on safety and accessibility for all passengers to use with confidence. Today, all of our 180 stations have platform screen doors and the elevator accessible routes. These improvements were advanced significantly by the Tokyo 2020 Games, which served as a catalyst. In 2013, Tokyo was selected as the host city for 2020 Olympic and Paralympic Games. We were expected to carry most of the spectators of over 10 million. We had to address how to balance the transportation demand by the games with the regular daily demand. The games were eventually held in sorry about that. I didn't notice that. The games were eventually held in 2021 without spectators due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But the preparations themselves significantly enhanced our system. To prepare for the games, we set 3 key perspectives, namely world-class safety, user-friendly and comfortable use, and enjoyable experience. Following these, we conducted a comprehensive review of existing safety and service level. Based on this review, we identified the gaps and implemented measures necessary for the games. Yes. Let me start with the perspective provide world-class subway safety. We focused on 3 key areas here: platform doors, disaster preparedness, and barrier-free facilities. The second perspective was make subway user-friendly and comfortable. We addressed passenger information, multilingual services, and onboard environment. To prevent passengers from falling on track, we expanded the installation of platform doors across our network. We have also tried to eliminate the gaps and step between trains and platforms. As shown on this slide, these measures were accelerated in preparation for the games, which led to 100% installation rate as of today. By fiscal year 2025, all stations have completed providing at least 1 elevator accessible route, ensuring step-free access across the entire network. This represents a major improvement from just 78% in 2013. Platform information displays and ticket vending machines support multiple languages. Station staff were equipped with iPad and with smartphones to communicate more effectively with international passengers. Recently, the number of international passengers have been surging in Tokyo, and these initiatives continue to support our services. The preparations for the Tokyo 2020 Games helped us comprehensively enhance Tokyo Metro's service system. Although the games were ultimately held without spectators, many of these measures, including congestion visualization and transport demand management, are utilized in our current operations. I hope that our experience will be of some reference to you. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kiyoshi Eguchi with Osaka Metro. Today, I would like to introduce the roles Osaka Metro played at the Expo 2025. I'll speak in Japanese from now on.
First, this is an overview of our company. So Osaka Metro is based in Osaka City, which is about 500 kilometers from Tokyo in western Japan. And the total length is 141 kilometers. We have 9 lines, 134 stations, and we serve about 2.6 million people per day. Osaka Metro became privatized in 2018, and we worked on urban mass. So we have been working to make Osaka even more convenient and accessible. And now I'd like to talk about Expo 2025. The Expo was held last year from April 13th to October 13th, so that was about 184 days. And the cumulative attendees were about 29 million people. And Osaka Metro really emphasized our work on Yumeshima, which is the local station, and that was about 48 million passengers who passed through Yumeshima, and we had a headway of about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and we did that for 12 hours a day. Next, I want to show you the access routes and the Expo venue. So Osaka Metro is in the center of Osaka City, but the venue is actually near the bay. So as Vice Minister Terada mentioned, the Chuo line is, Vice Minister Terada talked about the Chuo line, and now I'm focusing on the 4th line. We didn't yet have an extension going all the way to Yumeshima, so we needed to construct that as well. And in addition to that, we wanted to make sure that people can transfer easily from the Shinkansen, and so we worked on Honmachi and Benten Eki so that there is less congestion. Now I'd like to talk a little bit more about the details. I apologize that there's a little bit of overlap with the Vice Minister Terada's presentation. So the extension was 30.2 kilometers, and Osaka Prefecture and Osaka City worked on the infrastructure. And Osaka Metro worked on the design and the actual implementation. We had quite a tight timeline, but we needed to work very fast. And here's Yumeshima Station. So we have about 30,000 visitors per hour, or we wanted to have about 30,000 visitors per hour, so we created a very large station. And usually the minimum headway is about 3 minutes 45 second intervals, and we have about 358 train services per day. But during the Expo, we had 2 minute 30 second intervals and 755 trains per day. Now I'd like to talk about the congestion measures. So we worked on Homachi Station and Bentencho Station, which usually are very crowded. That's what we learned through simulation exercises. And so we worked on the following measures. Other measures include new train cars, as well as new platform screen doors. And you can read the rest on the screen. And during the expo, I wanted to explain a little bit about how we operate the trains. We increased the station staff as well as various security staff. And again, we have 700 trains per day, but we also had various personnel stationed as well. We also did some ticketing control to make sure that only a certain number of people passed through the station. Again, this depended on the congestion situation, but we sometimes had to limit the people coming in. Also, we tried to maintain the 2-minute 30-second headway as accurately as possible. And I've written some of the details there. In summary, we thought the ticket control working with passengers was really effective. For people who are coming into the station, the ticketing control went really well. But for people who are exiting the station, we didn't quite have a ticketing control system. So that's something that we needed to learn from. And based on that, the Osaka Metro worked really well for 184 days, so no single person was injured, even though it was super crowded. Thank you.
Janet?
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Carlos, thank you for moderating this session. And may I bother you for the
Clicker?
clicker, please? Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you for this incredible forum. Thank you, Paul, and our host here. I'm Jannet Walker-Ford. I'm with WSP, as Carlos mentioned. And WSP is a global engineering, transportation, infrastructure advisory company. And I lead our advisory and planning business as the business line executive. And like our colleague from Hitachi that was between clients on all sides, I happen to be sitting to the right of two of mine, so I'll try to move this right on along. But I'm here to talk about mega events and from a perspective of the consultancy community. Okay. When cities host major events, the FIFA World Cup, the Olympics, or the Full Rock Festival, the biggest moments on the global stage are not just hosting spectators, as we all know, and it's been discussed already today. They're living on the world's largest stages. For a brief moment, the world is watching how cities, regions, and nations move, how they welcome and how they perform under pressure. That spotlight creates a powerful opportunity to not just deliver an event plan, but to plan for a brighter future. Major events have a tremendous opportunity for legacy, has been very much talked about today. They aren't just about handling a surge, there's a chance to raise the everyday. Because when transportation plans for legacy, and that's sustaining, right? We're not just moving crowds, we're strengthening our systems, supporting communities, improving safety and security, and leaving things in a much better place as the spotlight moves on. And at WSP, we like to think of those events as a litmus test to our cities, for our agencies, and for the work that we do with our cities on a daily basis. What we're seeing here across the U.S. cities is a shift from planning for an event, which spent a lot of time planning for events, to using major moments to strengthen the everyday systems. In Seattle, the FIFA Club World Cup was treated as a system-wide stress test, so to speak, ahead of the region's first World Cup. Not just service levels, but operations, safety, customer experience, and communications. The focus is on learning early, a test, grounding decisions in real life conditions, and being better before the world actually arrives. If I switch to Philadelphia, they're also facing a challenge. Their challenge is a bit different. 4 major events in just 4 months. PGA Golf Championship, a FIFA World Cup, the Major League Baseball All-Star Games, and America's 25th anniversary, all in just 4 months. That compression changes everything. Instead of separate playbooks, SEPTA is treating it as just one large program, one integrated operations framework designed for repeatability. And in Los Angeles, and you'll hear more about that from the expert here in a few minutes, it goes even further. As Conan will share, the World Cup is just the dry run for the main event, which is in 2028. Through LA Metro Set Go program and in collaboration with APTA, they've been able to move forward with, as well as WSP, they've been able to move forward with a program called Set Go. Major events are a learning platform for agencies across the nation, and Set Go is special events, transportation, guidance, and opportunities where we're capturing lessons learned in safety, workforce development, operations, and customer experience so improvements don't end when the event does. And I'm sure our esteemed moderator can share the innovations for leading those efforts in Utah as well. Different cities, different pressures, but the same mindset used to spotlight on how we build systems that work better for everyone involved. Across the nation, the takeaways are that transportation is where success or failure shows up immediately. But mega events don't just succeed because of a single asset or agency. They succeed based on how well systems work together. Transportation alongside energy, public safety, land use, workforce development, and other public realm. That's how we take a moment and make it a multiplier by planning collaboratively and investing intentionally on major events and leaving behind stronger coordination, collaboration, more resilient operations, integration of safety, and better everyday experiences for the communities that we serve. One of the most successful mega events aren't just transportation projects, right? They are community projects with transportation that are at the very center. I don't often think about the moments from the Paris Olympics. People were tired, right, Reed? They had long distances to travel. They had waited. And as they moved through the metro, transit employees lined the walkways, not to apologize or to explain, but to simply say, thank you. The moment is a powerful reminder that work isn't just about the perfect operations, although we try. It's about how to show up for people together on the biggest stages of the world. Across all of them, the takeaways are the same. Transportation is where success or failure shows up immediately, but mega events don't succeed because of a single asset or agency. They succeed based on how well systems work together, transportation alongside energy, public safety, land use, workforce development, and the public realm. That's how we take these moments again and we make those moments multipliers. And as I wrap up, I'd like to say that we continue to think about these moments, and I think that all the lessons learned will contribute to the major events that are here to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Such an honor to be here before you all today. My name is Ryan Coholan. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the MBTA. Today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the MBTA, our history, and how we handle big events in Boston. So a little bit of history about the MBTA. We opened our first subway in America in 1897, and today it's become the 5th largest public transit system in the United States. We serve 178 cities and towns across Massachusetts, and on an average weekday, we provide approximately 1.2 million rides across all of our modes: subway, bus, commuter rail, ferry, and paratransit. Over the years, Boston, we've hosted a lot of mega events for everything from sport championship parades to outdoor concerts to the annual Boston Marathon. And many of these events, they do occur on weekdays, which means the system has to support both the daily ridership, but also the event-related demand, and often within very tight time frames. Usually those events compete directly with our peak periods, and all the stakeholders involved, all they know is they want to get to where they want to go. So when we do have those extraordinary volumes of riders converge at the same time, we need to operate at full speed. And by that, I mean that the little things, vehicles have to be available, stations have to be functional, clean, and work at full capacity. Accessibility enhancements, elevators, escalators, stairways, that's not the time to have any of those assets not available. We have to be able to absorb those surges, all while maintaining a level of performance. In order to do that, you have to really watch the foundations of your system. It's infrastructure, it's vehicles. Those areas have to be strong leading up to and during these events. Over the past several years, the MBTA is really focused on strengthening that foundation. We've been able to rebuild critical infrastructure, signals, communication systems. We've replaced miles of track, all to ensure that trains can travel safely and quickly across our system. I talked a lot about vehicles. We've replaced our oldest subway cars with newer, faster, more reliable vehicles, all with today's most current safety standards and accessibility enhancements. We rebuilt 35 stations across the system to make them fully accessible to ensure that everyone can ride our service. And we extended commuter rail service down to the south coast of Massachusetts, which is an area that hasn't seen train service in 67 years. We just concluded our one-year anniversary on that service yesterday. And we know there's more work to do, but these improvements have increased reliability, on-time performance, and they've strengthened our ability to meet the needs of our riders. Again, the regular daily ridership, but also the event-driven ridership. So when it comes to mega event operations, we have a pretty regimented process, and it's worked well. It's served us really well over the years. Again, whether it's a sport championship parade, special event in Boston, we host them all. So we have a lot of practice, but this system has worked well. But keep in mind, most transit systems, they're built to handle that recurring rush hour ridership, but not necessarily cater to those mega events. And as I mentioned earlier, when you have both of those going on the same Wednesday afternoon, that can get really challenging. A lot of newer systems, they're built around allowing for those bumps in ridership, but certainly in Boston, for those of you who have not been to our system, there's not a support column that you can't touch without touching the other one. It's those little things that make things like passenger wayfinding, how we communicate with passengers, how we assist passengers, and we do an awful lot of it manually with people. So having all those teams on hand to execute, so important. We need to also be aware when you talk about things like World Cup coming to Boston, which we're also hosting this summer, being able to communicate multi-language, breaking down the typical translation processes that we use for a schedule change or a service change. It's really a whole new way of looking at how we handle these events. We saw earlier about crowd flow modeling. In the last 5 years, we've done an awful lot of modeling, whether it's to support new construction, to enhance things like fare collection with the installation of fare gates at our major terminals in Boston. That modeling has been single-handedly probably the biggest benefit to how we design, lay out, and plan for passenger flows, in particular when you have to capture people getting onto the trains and also off of the trains. And those little details, the simulations, the tabletop exercises that go with it, that go into these to these mega events, they're invaluable. And make them hard. If I could offer advice, add the inject that you don't really want to. Because we always revert back to how we planned and how we trained. So when things do get chaotic and you have a train with 1,000 people on it looking for a place to go, plan accordingly. Don't be afraid to challenge yourselves, challenge your staffs, and put some of that pressure on your system to make sure it can absorb it and rebound. Actual day of the event, we follow I'll call it an emergency operations center posture. All of the leads from all of our key stakeholders, including transit police, we're face-to-face in one room looking at all the system data in real time, cameras, train location, so that when something does start to go sideways, we can make those real-time decisions. We don't have to necessarily go through several layers. Ultimately, though, as you prepare for these events, those decisions, they don't necessarily have to come from the very top. So as you do lead up to these events, try to empower your workforces. And we've seen a lot of success over the last 2.5 years within the MBTA. I don't need to make every decision. I can. Some people don't like that. But I'm there to guide, to support, and ultimately direct if need be. But if your teams out in the field during those events are empowered to make those decisions, it's really going to enhance the passenger experience. Because ultimately, those are the folks waiting on the train, trying to get to where they have to go. Talked a little bit about 2026 and World Cup, and like so many other cities, we're hosting FIFA World Cup. We're hosting the tall ships back to Boston for the first time in over a decade. Of course, we have the 250th anniversary. So there's a lot going on this summer in Boston. But that framework that I've described, that really helps guide our work as we look to what's going to be a very busy summer. Specific to all things FIFA and World Cup, Gillette Stadium, home of the New England Patriots, that is being renamed as Boston Stadium for this event. Now, that's just about 30 miles away from downtown Boston. So we're going to be relying heavily on our commuter rail operations to move just about 20,000 people per match between Boston and Boston Stadium. So the coordination that has to go into that between commuter rail, which traditionally has always operated sort of as its own thing. Some history on me, I was the chief railroad officer, as Administrator Fink alluded to, for many years. So commuter rail certainly holds a special place in my heart, but all of a sudden one day I found myself shouldered with all of the modes. So trying to get those walls, and honestly, as I reflect, some of the walls that I built, trying to knock those walls down and saying, you know what, there's probably a different way. It's been interesting, it's been humbling, but we need to make sure that once folks get off of a commuter rail train, for example, our first match is at 9 p.m. It's a 9 p.m. start time. Means those last commuter rail trains back into Boston, they won't arrive until approximately 3 a.m., which means our metro system, which typically is shut down between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., we're going to run 24 hours on that day for the first time ever in the history of all things MBTA. And that planning to get to that point, that began a year ago to make sure that we have all the right resources, but something as simple as the computer systems that support your operations, they have a clock. They need to end one day at some point before they can start the next. And honestly, I think the people part was easy. The equipment part was easy. The maintenance was easy. Solving that problem was not so easy. So it's the little things that'll get you. When we looked at FIFA and what that was going to bring, we knew that our station in Foxborough, which is built around primarily football games or New England Patriots football games, we needed to expand that due to the masses of people and some of the guidelines that FIFA has for exiting those events. So we made the decision to fund and construct a second platform, fully ADA accessible. And this is interesting because a lot of people say, well, why can't you just build one lower? Just have a low-level platform. It'll be quicker, it'll be cheaper, it'll be easier. But I put my railroad hat on, and I know that it takes 3 to 5 seconds for one person to step up a set of stairs into a rail car, and if there's an ADA accessibility issue, that just adds to time. But you do that over 1,400 people, 1,600 people per train, the seconds turn into minutes quickly. So it was a no-brainer investment on our part. And that's an asset that's going to be there now for the next several decades to serve any service, potentially expanded service, to events held in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium. I think one of the big things I heard today, public transportation, it's part of the experience. Whether you're going to World Cup, visiting a city, or taking part in any major event. We're part of the experience, but we're not the main event. We always try not to be. We try not to be the headline. We're not the main event, but when 1 million people get home safely at the conclusion of an event, at the end of a big night, that's really the win for us. And we don't need that broadcasted, but we know the work that goes in. We know that we're not the big event, but in our minds, when our workforce goes home and we all go home, we know that we did it right. And that's what we're here for. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Conan?
All right, thank you. And thank you, JT and APTA, for inviting LA Metro to this panel presentation. My name's Conan Cheung, Chief Operations Officer at LA Metro. I do have a couple slides, hopefully they'll come up, but I just will start a bit about LA Metro. LA Metro, oh, thank you. All right, so LA Metro is not just an operator of bus and rail service. We're a full-fledged transportation agency. We have about 2% sales tax that comes to LA Metro every year. That equates to about $4 billion a year. Now, we have obligations within that money. We have to fund transportation projects throughout the county. We have 88 cities in the county of LA. We provide funding for local streets and roads. We also provide funding for metro operations, as well as 17 major regional transit authorities in LA County. And we also have an obligation to build many projects that are within the expenditure plans of these 4 various measures that make up the 2%. So you can see here that we are an operator, we're a funder, we're a planner, constructor. Basically, if you live, work, play, entertain in LA, you're probably using Metro. When you look about Metro in terms of our budget, we have a $9.4 billion budget every year. We have about 12,000 employees and growing because we continue to grow the system. I'll talk a little bit about that. We say we're the second busiest, largest public transit agency in the US. Ryan, my friend here, can counter that if he wants to. Chicago's not here. New York, I think, left the room. So I'm going to state that claim. We have about 1 million passengers a day that we carry on our bus and rail system. We have the largest light rail system in the U.S., and in fact, we just extended our A line out to Pomona, and that makes it the longest light rail system in the world. I don't know of anyone who's ridden end to end, but maybe there may be one person. We have a large bus fleet, and we have about 2,100 buses in our bus fleet. So talking about major capital projects, we continue to grow. We have a $33 billion capital program that's ongoing right now. You can see several projects that are in construction. The D line, which is our Metro subway extension out to the west side, is a critical component. And in fact, we're going to be opening our phase 1 of the Purple Line extension on May 8th. So please pack your bags, come out to LA, enjoy the sun, enjoy the festivities. We're also working on the East San Fernando Valley light rail line up and down one of the busy corridors that's in a very transit dominant area within LA County. The G line improvements, this is actually a bus line. We'll call it pseudo rail because it's a bus rapid transit. It has its own right of way. And we are actually making it sort of convert somewhat to a rail system with gates to protect our buses in this case, and also grade separation across some of our busy intersections there. And then we have there the I-105 express lanes. That, again, is not rail, but we do have rail running down the 105, so I added that to this slide. When you look at our planning program, again, we're continuing to advance a lot of different projects. We have about $80 billion worth of projects that are currently in planning, most notably the Southeast Gateway line in an area where there's a lot of demand, but we don't have a lot of good fixed guideway service. Vermont Transit Corridor, which is one of our busiest bus lines, and also the Sepulveda Transit Corridor, and that's arguably the most congested corridor in LA County. And you can imagine that's very congested considering that I'm talking about LA. Operations, we are a multimodal agency. We have bus directly operated. We also have some contracted service. We run light rail, we run heavy rail metro. We also have microtransit. So we have 8 different microtransit zones that allows people to access our fixed guideway system, but it also provides some circulation and accessibility within areas that have lower density that don't really lend itself to mass transportation. Bike share is another type of mode that we support and we operate that provides that first and last mile connection to our fixed guideway. Van pools are important within the county as well. We have one of the largest van pool programs in the country, and that's actually one of the modes that makes money for Metro. It's a profit center. So it's interesting to note that. But it is a mode that we use within this network of transportation. And then express lanes, as I mentioned right there. So operations priorities, you know, obviously our first priority is to provide that clean, safe, fast, and reliable service every day on all of our modes. But as I mentioned, we're continuing to grow. Just over the last 2 years, we opened up several lines. We opened up the K line on Crenshaw. We opened up our LAX MTC transit center at the airport. And we also opened up the A line foothill extension out to Pomona, which is one of the event venues for the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games. We're continuing to grow, as I showed you. So my team is always busy doing their day job, but also, you know, moonlighting here, doing systems integration testing, doing their pre-revenue operations, training operators, hiring a lot of operators, and we're buying rail cars. And so we have several procurements, several rail car contracts currently underway to be able to deliver upon these mega transit projects that we're building. And then finally, mega special events, which is what we're here to talk about today. And as far as mega events, we have several Janet alluded to earlier on. We have the FIFA World Cup that's coming this year, and I think it's 80, oh my gosh, I think it's like 80 days or less and counting. We have a countdown clock in our champions room. We don't call it a war room, we call it champions room. And I hate looking at that every day. But we are continuing to prepare for that. That's going to really set the foundation as we move forward to the Super Bowl coming in 2027. That's the American version of the football. This is our second time. We did host it in 2022. We're looking forward to hosting the Super Bowl again. And of course, it culminates here with the 2028 Olympics and Paralympic Games. And LA being a sports and entertainment capital in this country, we are no strangers to mega events, but we always take the opportunity to take each one of these events, figure out what we've done, really assess after action what we can learn from it, and take those lessons learned and put them into best practices over the next couple special events. So whether we're talking about supporting Taylor Swift and the Swifties, you know, we put in we actually just started our ambassador program shortly before this, and they're a great hit just helping people who aren't used to navigating our system, getting to where they need to go. We had station takeovers. We renamed the stations in honor of the singer, and that was something that the Swifties love to see as well. You know, I mean, these are younger generations. They like transit. They were pushing transit as the opportunity to get to her concert series, and I think a lot of the cities around the country that were fortunate to be able to host Taylor Swift's Eras tours actually saw a big boost in ridership because of this. And so these are things that we want to cultivate. These are things that we want to support because this is what helps us grow the next generation of riders. Dodgers Champion Parade. This was the second year in a row that we won the World Series. No one from Toronto here? Okay. New York left? Okay. So I can show this as well. You can see a lot of Dodgers blue in this slide here. You can see a lot of people here, a lot of crowd management going on. Actually, it was interesting because the first year, 2 years ago, when we won the World Series, we had just opened up the Regional Connector, which is a light rail system that connects 2 other light rails through downtown LA. We do have one station there, the Bunker Hill Art Station, that is about 10 stories underground. So we don't have stairs, we don't have escalators coming up. We just have 6 high-speed elevators. And you can imagine having trains coming in, crush loads, every 4 minutes, and if one of those elevators goes out, you have a serious problem. And so that was a critical choke point that I saw that first year. We did a lot this second year to really try to manage crowds, make sure that we had order within the station on the platform up to the mezzanine, all the way up to the street and the bridge level, and it worked a lot better there. You can see that we have staff there just showing people the way to go to ensure that people are moving in an orderly fashion. And then finally, we always want to throw a little bit of surprise and delight. We want your experience and the excitement of the event to start and end at Metro. And so for the Rose Bowl, Rose Parade, I don't know how my picture got in there. Talk to my staff about that. But we were giving away roses to all the excited fans, especially the Indiana fans. We were giving out roses at the Rose Bowl, Rose Parade. Didn't matter if it was at our station, at someone else's station, downtown, whatever. We just wanted people to be happy and to be excited, not only about the event that they're going to, but also being excited about Metro and being a part of Metro. So Janet mentioned the Ready, Set, Go, so I don't need to mention that, but basically what we're trying to do, actually she didn't quite mention it, we've been working on this, this workshop series in conjunction with APTA for the last 3 years, and we've learned a lot working with all the various transit agencies across the country on everything that everyone does in terms of preparing and delivering on mega special event transportation. And so we've codified this with the help of WSP in this Ready, Set, Go playbook that we put out to the industry, and thank you, APTA, for helping us put that out. Within our World Cup planning, we're really following the model of this. You can see on the right-hand side, we have 16 different work streams going on. They're focused on 3 aspects of your travel journey. The first one is service. So that's the routing, the schedules, the operations, getting the buses and the trains prepared. As Ryan mentioned, you don't want to see those trains and those buses break down when someone's trying to get to the quarterfinal match. So you need to do your preventative maintenances early. You need to have some resiliency in your system, some redundancy. Make sure your staff is out there. Make sure you have your parts and supplies and your equipment is working in good order. We also want to make sure that security is considered significantly in all aspects of transportation. And then when you talk about getting to the system, that's the access part of that. And that starts from you understanding how to get to the system. Because if we don't tell you how to get to the system, we don't tell you how to pay, you're not going to use the system. You're going to use something else. So it's critical in terms of marketing, communications, making fair payment easy. The infrastructure in our facilities has to be inviting and clean and safe and reliable so that you can access the specific services. And then finally, the experience, as I mentioned. We want to be your first and last touch point for the events. But what I will notice there is the MVP program, as Ryan mentioned. This is all hands on deck, and our CEO, Stephanie Wiggins, is really pushing a culture within our organization so that whether you're normally an accountant at the agency or engineer or whatnot, sitting behind your computer, you're going to be out in the field greeting people, helping people as they try to navigate our system. This is a team event. I'd talk real quickly about this. I know this is a rail symposium, but we are bringing 300 buses into play here because we do have to collect people and connect them to SoFi Stadium, or LA Stadium as they call it now, for FIFA. You can see here 12 different transit agencies across the county that we're working with to provide that service. Emergency operations, this is critical. We just stood up our new ESOC about, I'd say, 6 months ago or so. And so this is our sort of really our brains of our security. We have LAPD, the sheriffs, we have our transit security, contract security, our ambassadors, homeless outreach, everyone's in this building working together side by side. We're piping in all of our CCTV from buses, rail stations, and so forth into this command center. Consistent look and feel, this is also critical. When you start thinking about us coordinating with 12 different transit agencies and a charter company, everyone's going to have a different looking bus. They're coming from probably 14 different locations. Some of them are metro, some of them are not. So we have worked with FIFA to come up with a kit of parts that we're pushing out so that when people see this kit of parts, this look and feel, they'll know that it's part of FIFA. Finally, we did talk a bit about lasting legacy, and really, we want to use these special events to promote transit, to build our ridership, and continue to improve upon our system. Thank you. Back to you, Carlos.
Well, thank you to our presenters. I appreciate that. You know, when I listen to all of your presentations, what feels to me at the foundation of everything, and it's people. It's people doing amazing things for people. And we sometimes get excited about the stuff, you know, the building of things and the infrastructure, but we have to always remember we're doing this for people. And I was thinking back to, I had an opportunity to participate in a Federal Highway sponsored international scan probably 18 plus years ago. And I was sitting at dinner with the Minister of Transport for Sweden, and she said something that still resonates with me because, you know, as an engineer, I was very focused on the building of stuff, the maintaining of stuff, and she said, "We are travel agents." And I said, "Huh, I'm not a travel agent." She said, "It's about the journey," and I think you meant, Conan, you mentioned journey. It's about the journey for people, and so. As you think about that journey, that experience that people have, it's not just the one mode, perhaps. It's going from a plane to a train to a bus, walking. I mean, that's an entire journey. Maybe share with us some experiences or lessons learned that you've found in working with other agencies to try to piece together that journey, even if you're only responsible for a piece of it. Thoughts? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, seamless transportation is very important for all passengers, all travelers. And so we are very much interested, we put emphasis on collaboration between other, especially rail operators, because, you know, railway network in Tokyo is very dense, but sometimes for inbound tourists, it might be complicated, it might be puzzling. So information providing is very important. So from the experience of Tokyo 2020 games, at that time, we have already equipped smartphones with all station staff. But nowadays, all station staff are equipped with iPads. To provide more effective information so that the inbound tourists can travel with confidence. And for, yes, wheelchair users or disabled travelers and passengers with luggage, you know, barrier-free accessibility information is also important. So we provide those information not only for our station, but also other train operator stations as well. So as such, I think information is a key to assist travelers.
Thank you. Kiyoshi, experience in Osaka?
Yes, what I learned in Osaka, especially the World Expo, is first of all, as you said, I think rail transportation is really a method to go to the destination. And so we want to make sure that that method is something that's reliable and safe and something that is punctual. And so during the Expo 2025, we did have a few issues, and we wanted to share information as accurately as possible and quickly as possible. So because we are a method of transportation, we wanted to make sure that we provide a viable option for people to move from place to place. We don't want to take away that option. And so when there is an issue, we want to make sure how they can still get to the destination, even if they cannot take our metro. So we thought that was important. Thank you.
Janet?
Carlos, thank you. And I like to think about the journey as we're calling it, as the travelocity of options. And you've outlined it really well, but the journey does start really from the time that you leave your home. Yes. And we saw that during the pandemic even, when we started thinking about how people would make their journey. So it's everything from how do I get there, how far do I walk, do I take a scooter, which bus, which train, all of that all the way through. And as Conan mentioned, that surprise and delight, that experience, that thinking happens right away. We're working currently, Reed Alvarado, my colleague, is here, and we're working very closely with Sound Transit and SEPTA, specifically on fare payment, as we're talking about how you pay for it, right? And having a seamless, integrated fare payment journey is really a critical part. And if we start thinking about, like we see in other countries, starting from the point that you're on the airplane, all the way through your transit modes, and you've got options on which modes you can take, you want to know how much it's going to cost, how long will it take me, what are my options? That's the Travelocity experience that I'm thinking about before, but solving that, and that along with wayfinding is really critical, particularly for your international visitors, as well as those of your, those here in the U.S. And lastly, with World Cup, it's a situation where in the U.S., I don't know, we quite experienced where the games are going to be moving in 11 cities throughout the country. And so that's a very different experience. So addressing those elements, I think, will be critical.
Thank you. Right?
Janet, you talked about, the sort of a universal fare, but I think there's a lot to be said. We know a lot of people fly into Boston via Logan Airport. No one has Logan Airport as their final destination.
There is a hotel there. But
there is, but no thank you.
Only when you have a problem traveling.
But once you break down the silos of working with all those parties involved, because for years, Massport that operates Logan, MBTA, we always did our own thing. We never collaborated, but putting information about the MBTA's transit options right on someone's app for, like, Delta is a Boston's a hub for Delta. We're working with Delta through Massport to get that information right in the hands of passengers so that they're not first discovering how to get to the transit system once they've got their baggage and now they're trying to find their way through. So if you equip passengers with that information before they leave their house, not just how they're going to get there next, but for the entire journey, everyone wins.
Yeah.
And I'll just say that I mentioned that we did open up the airport metro connector. Actually, it's called the LAX MTC station now. And that is going to be the last stop for the LAX people mover. So there really is going to be a direct connection from LAX straight to the center. You'll go downstairs. You can access our train there. You can access buses from 6 different municipal transportation agencies. So there is a lot of coordination just within that one location. But as it relates to mega events and really making sure that people see that as a seamless system, so they're looking at one regional network, not a series of various transit agencies. We're working through all of those details now, and they get into the details, I'm telling you. Just standard operating procedures, making sure that you all have the same ones, having the same training, going through multiple tabletop exercises and full-scale exercises together so you understand the roles and responsibilities for each of the organizations so you're working as one, all the way to technology, because with 12 different agencies and 12 different bus companies and charter companies, everyone has a different communication system. So we have to put everybody on the same system so that we can communicate to all operators, all supervisors. We can see all the buses on the same monitor and be able to manage the system as one unit.
That's so well said. It's really not about the one agency. It's really about how you're serving the customer and creating those relationships so you know all the people, all of your sister agencies, all of the local communities, you know who to call. It's so important to make this system look to the public like it's simple and it's easy to use. And so, yes, I think it's about relationships. We have reached our time. And I want to maybe give one more thanks to our panelists for a great conversation. And to our hosts, thank you very much for putting this together. And we're done here. We have a big 0